Hello, everybody. I am so delighted that you're here. Excited to share Debt Free Degree with DrRoz with you. Love this webinar. Love this time with you. Love those of you that have already submitted questions. Thank you so very much for doing that. As you can see down at the bottom, it says, I would love to teach you how to earn a debt-free degree. Another thing that I often say is love yourself enough to earn a debt-free degree. It's just so incredibly important to think about that. So I'm going to be sharing my entire grit blueprint with you. I'm going to tell you every single thing that you need in order to earn a debt-free degree. At the end of this, we'll have an opportunity to ask some questions if you have any questions. There's also opportunities at the end for you to work further with me. But I'm going to go through this really quickly and then come back and revisit each one. So the G in grit is grants and scholarships. The R is return on investment. The I is interconnected, and the T is my proven triangle approach. Now, SM stands for student money. FM stands for your friends, your family, your folks, the people you're familiar with. And OPM is our favorite because it is other people's money. Exactly. So a little bit about my program. It's what I call simple, but not easy. And so what happens is we will think, oh, well, there's just zero way to graduate completely debt-free. What I'm going to be sharing with you all tonight, it's not rocket science. I'm not going to give you one little code that you put that in and then automatically you're going to get $100,000 back. That's just, excuse me, that's just not the way it works. So it's simple, but not easy. But I'm going to lay out all the tools that you need in order to graduate fully debt-free. So when I say it takes resilience and tenacity, that resilience is how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And that tenacity is it practice makes perfect? No, it's perfect practice makes perfect. So if you want to do the thing that you always done and everybody else around you has done, then go do that. Go hang out in the financial aid office, go take the loans, go figure out how to pay them off later. That's what everybody else is doing. What I'm doing is rewriting that narrative. And I'm saying, absolutely, you can have resilience, you can have tenacity, you can use the tools, and you can graduate fully debt-free. I had a friend of mine who called me today. She woke up to an email that $45,000 of her student loan debt had been forgiven. And you could just hear the exuberance in her voice. And I said, imagine that feeling that you're feeling now. That's what I want for every one of my students, for them to have never taken the student loan debt and feel that sense of a whole new world has opened up. $45,000. So if you can avoid that, how can we do that? It's important. And there's this myth, right? There's this myth that debt is a prerequisite for adulthood. And that's just simply not the case. And so what happens is people will say, oh, you have to do that, or this is the only way that people do it, or etc. And that's just not the case. It's just not what's happening. And it's completely possible to graduate fully debt-free, to go into adulthood and think about that trajectory. Like my friend that just got the $45,000 paid off, or, forgiven. But how much had she paid off prior to that? I talked to somebody else that was saying she and her husband, when they came into the marriage, he had $80,000 in debt and in student loan debt. And so they paid that off. But she said, we're building a house. What would that have meant if I could have put that towards a down payment rather than paying something off? And of course, student loan debt, there's no asset that you can sell and recoup any of that money. And so it's just a myth that it's a prereq for adulthood. So a little bit about the G, the grants and scholarships. There's 1.7 million private scholarships out there. There's 46 billion with a B. If you're taking notes, I'd love for you to write that down. $46 billion with a B in grants and scholarships out there. So when people say, I'm a C student, there's nothing for me, or I don't have anything special going on or whatever, yes, there are tons of scholarships out there, $46 billion in grants and scholarships out there. And one of our folks couldn't be with us live, and she submitted a question. And so I'm going to do a deeper dive on that in just a little bit. But yes, absolutely. The R is return on investment. So that means the time, the energy, the money that I'm putting into this, what's going to be a return on that? So basically what I did is I put all 50 states into a random generator, and I just pulled a state, and I went to that state's flagship institution. So essentially University of blank. I added up tuition fees, books, room, and board, which came to be $12,270. I multiplied it times 8, because many of us think that college should last 8 semesters. Now, all of us know that there's no educational value to 4 years or 5 years or 6 years. And also, it's also very common for the highest graduation rate at many of these schools to be 5 years, not 4, which is times 10. Many of you also have been investigating, and you understand that $12,270 is a quite low amount for a tuition per semester. But again, I took those numbers, multiplied by 8, got 98,000. And so $100,000. So since 2005, I have literally helped hundreds of students save millions of dollars. I am actually helping second generation. So I had some students that graduated in 2005, and they have students that are heading to college, and I'm helping them as well. It's absolutely possible. So thinking about that return on investment. Another way where that shows up is oftentimes my students will say, well, I can't work full time. I mean, that's just too hard. I just can't do that. And I want you to understand that there is a work school life balance. And when you look at that diagram, when you look at that work component, if you work 40 hours a week, that's 24% of your week. That still gives you 76% of your week. And where can that time be spent? Because here's the thing, like my dear friend, Tyler Perry, who's from here in Atlanta, absolutely love him, love, love, love. So oftentimes if I'm struggling, if I'm thinking, oh, it's just so hard, it's like, okay, Elizabeth, what can you get done in 168 hours a week? Because Tyler Perry is playing not one, but 2 people 168 hours a week. So what can I get done? What can you get done? Those hours are going to go by. Here's the thing about time. We often refer to it as time management. There is no managing it. There is no banking it. There's no growing it. There's no, let me see if I can figure out how to make it slow down or speed up. It just is going to roll on by. And so regardless if you work full-time or not, and so if you want to work less hours, I completely understand. I just want you to think about, what will your time look like? What will your stress level look like? What will your health look like if you graduate from college fully debt-free? Versus all of a sudden my time is taken up because I got to pay off these loans, or I'm super stressed. Can you imagine having $80,000 in student loan debt and having to pay that off? What does that do to your health if you know you're kind of stuck in this job because you got to pay these loans, versus having that debt-free degree? So be thinking about that and how you're using that time and return on investment. Another thing that I often talk about is 37% of all students who owe student loan debt owe 6 figures. 37%. And the current student loan debt, well, as of a few weeks ago, was 1.76 trillion. After some of these forgiveness, it's going to go down, but that's trillion with a T. So it's not going to go down to 0. I want to make sure that every single person who hears this webinar never contributes $1 to the student debt crisis and never takes on any of that, much less $100,000. That's my goal. So a little bit about student money. So students, you are the key as to how you can, ways to make money and ways to save money. So in a little bit, I'm going to talk to you about my Patreon, and I have videos in there, and those are my tags, some of my tags, ways to make money, ways to save money. So here's a couple of ways to either make money or save money. Number one is textbooks. Sometimes you don't need the textbook, and it's good to go ask the professor, hey, are we going to be using this textbook? Also, you can do textbook sharing. You can get an older version, you can rent textbooks, lots of different things you can do with textbooks. There are a lot of schools now that are doing no textbooks for the first, for all the core classes. And so that's something you can think about when you're looking for a college. So lots of different ways to save money with textbooks. Another way you can save money is not having a car on campus. Now, I have seen parking fees $500–600 a semester. That's in addition to the wear and tear on your car, the insurance on the car, and oftentimes, hey, you've got a car. Will you take me to the grocery store, or will you take me to run this errand, or will you take us to the bar, or whatever it is? Having a car is a wonderful tool, but it can also be a source of stress. And so that could be one way that you save money. Another way is your student ID. And so certainly on campus and in the town around your campus, obviously, showing your student ID can save you a lot of money. I have a student that is getting his master's up north, and he showed his student ID and got a haircut for $5. And so it's just all these different ways that you can think about for saving money, or making money perhaps with that student ID. The other one is jobs. Now, again, if you don't want to work 40 hours, I completely understand that. However, when you are talking about the ROI, if you are going to give up your time, your talent, your zone of genius in order to spend it somewhere else, and in exchange for your time and in your exchange for your talents, they are going to be paying you a wage. Why not look for something that's going to pay you something in addition to that? So is there tuition assistance? Is there a discount on food? Is there networking opportunities? Are there ways that you can say to them, hey, if I work for you now, will you pay for my school, and I'll work for you, I'll agree to work for you afterwards? Or, is there like this pipeline where you can kind of get in on the bottom floor, but they want to kind of grow you into a management position? And so there are just all these amazing opportunities out there. The other one is networking. I just dropped this video over on my Patreon not too long ago. So as you can see, I love to get my nails done. And about a year ago, I was getting my nails done in the middle of the week. And I sat down, and the lady across from me said, oh, are you not working today? And I said, oh, I work for myself. And she said, oh, what do you do? And so the young lady sitting beside me heard DebtFreeDegree, and she was a senior in high school. And so we had a hour-long conversation where I did all this laser coaching for her on how to graduate debt-free. She joined the Patreon community. She is well on her way to earning a debt-free degree, and she had been well on her way to accruing $40,000 in debt a year. And so that networking, you just never know. If you have that intention, that beginning with the end in mind, that you are going to graduate debt-free, you will be surprised at how many networking opportunities come your way, just as a result of you setting that intention. Now, your FM is your friends, your family, the folks, your people you're familiar with, and here are several different ways that they can help you. So number one, how many days a week are there? 7. Exactly. So how many pairs of pants, how many shirts, how many purses, shoes, Elizabeth, how many of those things do we need every single week? So what a lot of families will do is to say, yes, we're going to provide you the basics, but there's really not a need for you to have 28 shirts in your closet. And so instead of me spending money on that, I'm going to put that in a college account. Now, obviously, some parents do have a 529, something like that. When I'm talking about college account, though, I'm talking about a savings account that's maybe associated with your checking account. So you can just move money over, or your parents can, deposit money there. The other thing is you often see GoFundMe's or other things for if you get married or for housewarming. Why not do a GoFundMe for college expenses? Any expenses that aren't covered by scholarships and doing some of the other things, that's an excellent way. Another way is for you, the student, for the family, everybody to be committed to you graduating fully debt-free. So let's say you love coffee. Every single time you drink a cup of coffee at home and you don't go out and buy coffee, move $5 over. Like, just in your mind, from your checking account to your savings account, just move it over, and you will watch that account grow. And there are all these different ways. There may be scholarships available at, you've got family members who are working in organizations. There are all these different ways that you can use the people you're familiar with to either ways to make money or ways to save money. So be thinking about that. And then here is OPM is king, other people's money. Now, I've talked about the $46 billion in grants and scholarships. There are so many opportunities when you're looking at OPM. And here's the thing. let's say you're independently wealthy. You're independently wealthy because you inherited a lot of money. Well, guess what? You inherited somebody else's money. And if you're independently wealthy because you earned the money, then you gave time away to somebody, or you developed a product that you sold to somebody for their money. Again, other people's money. The way that our system works is other people's money. But there's not $46 billion out there in grants and scholarships to help you buy a home that I'm aware of, or to help you buy a car that I'm aware of. But there is that much money out there, in addition to all these other things, for how you can earn a degree completely debt-free. So if you are thinking about it, I would love to know, what is your debt-free degree story? So what is your part going to be? If you're a student watching this, if you're a family member watching this, what is your part going to be? If you're an educator or you're somebody in the community, what is your part as OPM going to be? But if you have your intention as a debt-free degree, what is your role in that story? If you are watching this and you don't have anybody in your family or in your sphere of influence that's going to college anytime soon, but then you're randomly in the grocery store and you hear somebody talking about student loans, talk to them about a debt-free degree, even if you're not necessarily referring them to my program. But I want this message out there. I want you to think about, as a result of a debt-free degree, who will you be, and what will you do, and what will you have? What will growth look like for you? What will relationships look like for you? What does a career look like for you? I just interviewed somebody a couple of weeks ago, and she was talking about that she has different options. As an entrepreneur, she can take far greater risks because she graduated fully debt-free. She has a very good friend who graduated with over $200,000 in debt. And she said that friend is in a thankless job, sort of a dead-end job, but it's paying her bills plus her loans. So she's got to stay there. And the lady I was interviewing, she kept saying to her, like, why are you stuck in this job? Why don't you just leave and start your own business like I did? And she said, I don't have that luxury. A debt-free degree gives you that luxury. Also, that young lady is working several jobs, not just the one job. She has no hobbies. Working is her hobby. What is your hobby if you graduate fully debt-free? Again, really thinking about that. Who will you be? What will you do? And what will you have as a result of graduating fully debt-free? So here is a little bit about me. I have 3 degrees, including my Ph.D. I only took $1,000 in loans. So while I am an academic at heart, and while I do believe in theory, and I absolutely know that something that's grounded in theory is powerful, but this is not only theory for me. It's not like just out there like, yeah, I think this works. This is something that I did for 3 degrees, and it was with a great deal of sacrifice. It took me 9 years from start to finish to get my master's, because I was in school 3 years, and for every year I was in school, I needed to work in the field to pay off getting that grant. So that's 9 years. It also took me quite a while to get my PhD, and there are lots of obstacles. There are lots of places where I could have just said, it's just too hard. I'll just take the loans and figure it out. But I did not want to do that. I was raised to not go into debt for education. And that's what I want to do for you as well. So as I mentioned, you have an opportunity to work with me. There's the QR code. You've got the link to the Patreon. The Patreon is just $10 a month. I drop at least 4 pieces of content a month. I think a couple of months ago, I dropped 19. And while my team works with me diligently to help me with debt-free degree, I'm the one that answers every single question. So for just $10 a month, you have full access to me where you can ask me anything. So ask as many questions as you want. I recently had a student that literally put in the message, Dr. Roz, I'm stuck. And we had this whole conversation. Sometimes we don't know what we don't know, but just knowing that you can reach out and just say, help, I just need some help, because I am intent on this next generation not contributing to the $1.76 trillion in student loan debt and graduating fully debt free. So again, just $10 a month. It also has a 7-day free trial. So you can get in there and watch every video, read every article, be done in 7 days, and perhaps you're complete, and that's great. But for those of you that want additional support, for those of you that want to ask me individualized questions, then that's a great opportunity to join me. And so with that, I am going to entertain you all's questions. And one of the questions that was submitted earlier from, as I said, the lady that could not join us live is, are there scholarships for regular people, perhaps, folks that are, not academically, not necessarily a straight A student? And the answer is yes, 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 yes. There are scholarships from civic organizations. There's scholarships from national organizations. There's a scholarship for, best prom attire made out of duct tape. There's scholarships. I think I shared in my last webinar, if you play the viola or the viola, I don't know how to say that, but if you play that particular instrument. So there are all these different hobbies and different things, and lots of great folks out there, great resources for how to find the scholarship. Sometimes it feels like a needle in a haystack. If you, again, go over to my Patreon page, then I've got videos where I've interviewed some people, and I just met somebody last week. I'm going to be interviewing them for the Patreon. So lots of opportunities for grants and scholarships, in addition to thinking about being intentional about a debt-free degree and not contributing to that. So somebody else said, so tell me, how can my student graduate fully debt-free? Well, guess what? I'm just going to tell you the GRIT system again. So it's grants and scholarships, it's return on investment, I is interconnected. So that works smarter, not harder. How do things, how is that synergy playing together? And then that triangle approach. And so if you want a deeper dive on that, obviously we can do a deeper dive on every single one of those. I do that over in the Patreon. I do that in my YouTube, and everybody can subscribe to the YouTube. Got lots of stuff on social media. And so it's interesting because I'm in the middle of writing my book right now. And somebody said, maybe you could do debt-free degree for this or for this, particular profession or particular degree. And here's the thing, like I can show you the blueprint, but I can't tell you your particulars on what that's going to look like in a textbook ahead of time. But I can walk with you hand in hand and show you, okay, ask as many questions as you want. If you want to go to an HBCU and they don't offer as many scholarships as perhaps other institutions, how can you maximize what you have access to? And how can we make sure that you get everything that you need? We can do that. Whatever that looks like, we will walk hand in hand. The thing is people will often say, I'm heading to college next week. I need $100,000. Can you help me? I'm not going to be able to help you earn $100,000 next week. If you have been, eating bonbons and drinking Cokes all summer, and then all of a sudden today you need to lose 35 pounds by next Friday, I'm not sure how feasible that is, and I'm not sure how sustainable that is. But if you have that mindset to start really, really early, then you can do that. So hope that answers those two questions. Are there additional questions that anybody has that they want to put in the chat? Let me know. Anything else? Anybody else? Well, okay. So, thank you for asking. This person asks, what's the best rate, or how can I get the best rate on student loans? Here's the thing. There's a lot of stuff that I know about. I am so intent on a debt-free degree. I honestly have no clue. I only took $1,000 in loans, and that was for my undergrad. And so I don't have the answer to your question. I apologize. There are lots of groups out there that would, but that's just not something. But thank you for joining. Thank you for being here. Thank you for asking the question, because here's the thing, you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know who can help you. And again, I'm sure there are tons of groups out there that can help you find that information. I hope that at the end of this, I've planted a seed that you either earn a debt-free degree or as close to a debt-free degree as possible. So even if you're looking at, okay, I'm starting school this week, and so I'm going to have to take that loan. I already took that loan, but how can I make sure that from next semester forward that I don't take any loans? Then I'm glad you're here. Thank you. All right, everybody. I am delighted to have spent this time with you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. For those of you watching the replay, I appreciate you so very, very much. And until next time, y'all, love yourself enough to earn a debt-free degree. Talk soon. Bye.